Hello and welcome to Let's Start Cooking. I'm Wayne, and today on Let's Start Cooking, we're going to do one of those classic comfort foods, chicken and dumplings. But before we get started, I'd like to ask you to like and share this channel with your friends and subscribe. So with that being said, I'm going to put all the ingredients, as usual, in the description. And the first thing we're going to want to do is we're going to cook our chicken breast, which we've already trimmed to make sure we have all the excess fat and everything off of it. And we're just going to put this in. I'm using a Dutch oven. You can use a regular nice sized pot. This is basically a one pot dinner. We might have to do a little bit of the dumplings in a separate pot, but everything's going to cook in this pot. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take our butter, and I have 3 tablespoons of butter, and we're just going to put it right in, and we're just going to let that melt on us. And while that's melting, like I said, we took chicken breast, and I have about 2 pounds of chicken here. It's 3 chicken breast. And we're just going to take the chicken breast and we're just going to put that in. We're going to cook that about 3 minutes on each side. And then we're going to remove the chicken breast and we're going to leave everything in the pot, and then we're going to continue on. So we'll get our butter melted down and then we'll put our chicken in. Now that our butter is nice and melted and our pan is nice and hot, all we're going to do is we're going to take our chicken breast. And like I said, we're just going to take this and we're going to put it in. And we're going to let this cook about 3 minutes on each side. We're not trying to cook this all the way through. We're just going to let this cook for about 3 minutes. We'll flip it over, we'll get it nice and brown, and we're going to take it out. We're going to take it out, we're going to set it to the side, and then we can continue on with our vegetables. So we'll let this cook, and we'll be right back. Now that we have this browned about 3 minutes, we're going to just flip them over. We're going to do another 3 minutes, and then we're going to take them out and we're going to let them rest. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take these and we're just going to flip them over. And again, they're not going to be cooked all the way through, but we're not looking to cook these all the way through. All we want to do is just get them brown right now, because they're going to cook eventually when we put everything back together. So we're going to let these cook another 3 minutes. Now that these have been on both sides for about 3 minutes, all we're going to do is going to take them out, and we're just going to let these rest, because we want these to cool down, because we're going to end up cutting these into small cubes. So we just want to take these out. And again, they won't be cooked all the way through, but we're not looking to do that. And we're going to leave what's in there. So we're just going to let these rest. We'll set these to the side. And now we can take care of our vegetables. We're going to let our chicken rest, just so it cools down so we can handle it. And while we're doing that, we're just going to take our onion. And again, we're just going to chop our onion. When you're doing this, just be careful. You don't have to do it this way if you don't want to. You don't want really big chunks. They don't have to be perfect, like I said, because this is just going to go right in there for us. And once you get around that far, just tip it over. That's all you need to do with the onion. And the celery, I just like to take it, and I like to go right down the center of it. And then I just hold it. And we just get this all chopped up. And you want about a half a cup, depending on how much you like it. Half a cup to 3/4 of a cup of celery. About a half a cup of onion. And I'm using 4 cloves of garlic. And we're going to do the same thing with the garlic. And to stop the garlic from sliding all over for you, you just want to smack it down a little bit, that way it stays flat. And then that way it's a lot easier to mince, and you don't have to worry about it sliding all over or rolling down the table on you. So we're just going to get all this cut up, and then we're going to put it back in our pan. Now that we have all our vegetables chopped, all we're going to do is we're going to take our onions that we chopped and our celery, and we're just going to put it right in our pan. And we're going to add, we took matchstick carrots, about a cup of them. And we're just going to add that right in. And all we're going to do is we're going to cook this up for about 5 minutes. We just want these to start to soften up for us. We're not going to cook these all the way through. We're going to cook these for about 5 minutes till they get soft. And then we'll start adding the other things that we need to add. But until then, we're going to let these get soft. Once we cook this for about 5 minutes, the vegetables are starting to soften up, and you can start to smell the aroma of the onions and the celery cooking. what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add our garlic. And we're gonna add this, and we're only gonna cook this for about a minute now with the garlic in. We just wanna cook this. We don't wanna burn the garlic. That's why we wait to put it in. We don't wanna take a chance of putting it in because if garlic burns, it gets real bitter. We're just gonna cook this up for about a minute. And after we cook this for a minute, then we're gonna add our flour, and we're gonna let that cook for about 30 seconds to a minute. We don't want that flour taste to stay with it. And that's gonna start to thicken up everything for us as we add our other ingredients. It's been about a minute. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our salt. We're gonna add our pepper. And we're gonna add our thyme. And we're gonna give that a quick mix, just to get it mixed up a little bit. And we still have the heat on. And now we're gonna add our flour. And this is about 3 tablespoons of flour. We're gonna get this mixed up. And we just want to toss this just so we make sure that everything gets mixed up well. And we want to keep this moving because, again, once you add flour, it's going to dry stuff out. We don't want it to sit on the bottom too long. We don't want it to burn. And once we get it to this point now, we're going to add 1 quart of chicken stock. And we're just going to add that right in. And then on top of that, we're going to add 1 can of evaporated milk. And make sure we use evaporated milk and not condensed milk. And we're just going to give this a quick stir. And we're going to let this simmer on low. Because while this is simmering on very low, we're going to dice up our chicken and get that ready to go in. So we're going to let this sit and simmer. And we'll get our chicken diced up. And we're letting our stuff simmer. We're just gonna take our chicken breast, and like I said, this you don't have to be neat, and we didn't cook this all the way through, but we're just gonna cut this. And what we wanna do really is just chunk this up. You can make this as big or as small as you like. I like to go a little bit, about bite size. It doesn't have to be huge, but you don't want like really, really tiny pieces. We're just gonna cut this up because what we want to do is once our stuff starts to simmer and we get all this cut up, we're going to increase the heat and we're going to bring our broth to about almost a boil, and that's when we're going to add our chicken back in to finish up what we're doing. Once you see that it's starting to boil, as you can see here, we're starting to get the vegetables are starting to mix up on their own because it's starting to boil. What we want to do is we're going to give it a quick mix. And this is when we're going to add our chicken back in. And just be very careful. Try to dump them away from you that way just in case it's splashing. But we're going to put all this chicken back in. Once we get all this in, again, we're just going to give it a quick mix. We're going to make sure we get everything mixed up well. And we're going to turn this down to a simmer, and we're going to leave this uncovered for now. But we just want to get everything nice and mixed up. We're going to turn this all the way down to a simmer. And while this is simmering, what we want to do is we're going to work on our dumplings. So we get this all mixed up like this. And now we're just going to let this go, and we're going to work on our dumplings. In this bowl for our dumplings, I have 2 cups of flour. To that, we're going to add our baking powder, a little bit of pepper, salt, and thyme. And again, I'll have all the ingredients in the description. We're just gonna add this right in. And we're just gonna take that for now, and we're just gonna get that well mixed up. We're just gonna make a little bit of a pocket in the center. Doesn't have to be perfect. And to that, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of whole milk and about 4 tablespoons of melted butter. And And we're just gonna take that and we're gonna gently mix that together. And that's all that we're gonna do for our dumplings. We're just gonna mix this together while this is simmering over here. Just till we know that it's gonna start holding together on its own. Once we get it to the point where it's actually making a bowl on its own, what we want to do is we're going to stop this. We're just going to clean everything off. Once we bring everything over, we get our dumpling ready. We're just going to take the dough and we're going to make small balls out of it. You can make these any size you want, depending. You can even use an ice cream scooper if you want. And they don't have to be perfect. We're just going to take them and plop them right in. And that's all you do. They don't have to be the same size. They don't have to be perfect because that's all they are. They're just dumplings. Just don't put them all in one same spot. That's all. And you're just going to take them. Going to lightly, because these are going to puff up as they cook. And we're just going to take these like this. We're just going to drop them in. And like I said, just don't put them all in the same spot. That's all. You just plop them in. It's a fairly easy recipe. They can be different sizes. You can make them small, you can make them large. Like I said, if you have an ice cream scooper, you want to make them that size, you can make them that size. Once we get them all in, all we want to do is just want to tap them down just so they get covered a little bit. They're going to come back up. We just want to get them wet, that's all. Just going to tap them down just a little bit. And now what we're going to do, we're going to put the lid on this and we're going to let this covered and we're going to let this simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. We've had this simmering for about 20 minutes, and all we have to do now is we're just going to take the lid off, and be careful of the steam. We're just going to set that to the side, and we're just going to take this out. We're going to do a dumpling at a time, and we're just going to gently take them out. We'll just put one in here for now, and then we'll move another one out. Once we do that, we can take our ladle, and we scoop down in here between it. Just set that to the side. We just move this to the side real quick. We just bring this back over. And again, this is going to be extremely hot. And as you can see, the dumplings inside are nice and dry, and they're cooked right through. And if you get it to the point where you notice that they're not done inside, you can just put it back and let it simmer for a little bit longer. But that's it. That's all that's to making chicken and dumpling. The chicken's cooked all the way through because we let it simmer. And I know this is going to be hot, so. You can taste the thyme, you can taste the chicken. The dumplings are nice and done. They're nice and fluffy. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll like and share it with your friends. And I'll see you next week.